Greetings, this is the instrument sidekick video for the baritone or euphonium, page 17. Two more notes! Page 17, two more notes. We get to learn two more notes on this page. This one's a bit challenging, and this is going to be cool. Another flat note there. All right, some information up here, though, that might be interest to you, okay? I keep track of everyone's level using a belt system, similar to martial arts, okay? So the color belt tells me what level you're at, all right? So this is the white belt test right here. It explains it that you need to be able to play 5 notes from memory in a lesson or, meeting, whatever we'll call them. All right, and you got to be able to play 5 notes from memory in that lesson. Now, it's got to be from memory, so hopefully you're watching this video ahead of time before that lesson. So when we get there, just let me know you're ready for the test, and I will be able to test you. If you're learning this stuff for the first time in that lesson, you won't be able to take the test, because it really doesn't show a good level of memory. Just because you remember what you just learned 2 minutes ago doesn't mean you've really got it memorized, right? So then it would have to wait to the next lesson. And the test is I call out different notes of the 5 notes, D, C, and B flat, and right here is F and E flat, so there's 5 notes. So once you've got those down, I will just call them out and you play them back for me. You will be allowed to make mistakes as long as you fix the mistakes without me telling you you made the mistake, okay? So if you know that you missed something, fix it. If you didn't know you made a mistake, then you fail the test, okay? And you've got to get it all perfect, okay? This is one of those tests. You've got to get absolutely perfect, all 5 notes. So you're allowed to make a mistake, but you need to fix it, and then it's still considered perfect. That's just, you got to be able to handle 5 notes, be able to for the next things that you need to learn. So that's how the test will go, and it's okay to make mistakes, like I said, as long as you fix them. Then over here mentions the yellow belt test is being able to play this page, all 3 of these songs, okay? So that is also a good thing. I'm hoping we can do things with these songs this year. So first, let's talk about these 2 new notes. All right, so we have an F. F's the more challenging one. It's the 4th line up, and if you remember, B flat was the 2nd line up, and D was the third line up, and now F is the 4th line up. All those are different notes and different lines, okay? So you got to memorize getting used to seeing the note on the line and knowing what note to play. All right, and it's 0 fingers, okay? So there's no fingers, it's open. You remember what other note was? B flat. But remember, I said B flat was the 2nd line from the bottom, so it was a lower note. F is a higher note. So it's going to be no fingers, but higher. So you have to control the embouchure change between B flat and F pretty well. That's just all part of it. And that's usually the big mistake when we get to white belt is people will play the wrong note. I'll say play a B flat and they'll play an F and not know that they made the mistake, and then they fail the test. So you have to know you made the mistake and fix it. So F being the higher of the 2, so if I ever asked you to play a B flat and you played too high, chances are you were playing an F, which was wrong because it was a B flat, but it was probably a good F. All right, so here is what an F sounds like. So if you need to re-listen to this, we're 3 minutes and 30 seconds in. Here is what an F sounds like. Here's what a B flat sounds like. And an F. B flat. All right, so you might want to practice just going back and forth between those 2 so you can learn how to control the embouchure change. Then the next note is an E flat, which has just fingering 1. It's the 3rd space up and only needs finger 1 down. Not the other 2, not halfway down, all the way down before you play the note. And it has a very similar embouchure to the F. It's a higher note. Okay, sounds like this. F. E flat. D, C, B flat. B flat, C, D, E flat, F. F, E flat, D, C, B flat. All right, so you got to be able to play those 5 notes in whatever order I say to play them in. Just be able to hit them. Okay, so really work and be able to master hitting those notes. And now we got to be able to play these songs. So let's talk about Jingle Bells first. In Jingle Bells, the main issue most students have is in the second and the third lines. The second line starts off D, F, B flat. It's the first time in a song that you have to switch notes without switching fingers, only switching your embouchure. So after the D, you switch fingerings to the F, but then you don't change any fingerings to go to the next note, to the B flat. All right, and everyone always wants to change their finger for every time they have to play a note, unless it's the same note. And that tends to be an issue right there. And then the third line down, you have a bunch of E flats in a row, a whole bunch of them. Well, you have to play the right number of them. And a whole lot of people play either too many or too few, and you got to play the right number of them. That's part of music. If there's, 5 notes, then you got to play those 5 notes and that many times. All right, so that's just how it is. So here is Jingle Bells. We're about 6 minutes in here. Here we go. Jingle Bells. Jingle Bells. So practice that over and over. And then we have Good King Wenceslas. Wenceslas. That's how you pronounce that. Wenceslas. So here is Good King Wenceslas. We're almost 7 minutes. Not quite 7 minutes. Almost 7 minutes. Here we go. And that's Good King Wenceslas. And then lastly, Dreidel Dreidel. Let me show you some of the mistakes people make with Dreidel Dreidel here. Okay, so Dreidel Dreidel, we have a bunch of notes and then a long D here. And then everyone often wants to skip that D that's after the long D right there. So they'll play F, D, F, D, F, D, and then they'll go right to F, F, E, D, C, and they'll have forgotten that note right there. So don't forget that note. It's played at the end of the line just before the next one. F, D, F, D, F, D, D, F, F, E, D, C, C, E, C, E, C, E, C, C, F, E, D, C, B flat. And then there's this word repeat. Now, hopefully you've learned from music classes that repeat means you got to repeat the whole song. You got to do it again. Just one more time. You don't have to keep repeating, all right? You just repeat one more time through the song. So don't forget to do that. That's another part of the test that people mess up, is they'll forget to repeat. And if you do that, you've only done half the song, okay? And for most of these songs, you can make a few mistakes, and it's totally fine. You're allowed to make mistakes. Making 1 or 2 mistakes is not a big deal. Just like if you hand in a math test and you miss one problem on the math test, chances are you're still going to pass the test. But if you miss half the test, okay, if you forget to repeat and you've only done half the song, well, that's just a 50% in the test. That's not going to pass the test at all. So you definitely have to remember that repeat, okay? So here is Dreidel Dreidel. We're almost 9 minutes in. Here is Dreidel Dreidel. And there you go. So now add those 3 songs to your practice and still work on trying to play those. Maybe you can work on one at a time, or you can be trying the whole page or whatever. But remember what it taught you about practice, and that it's going to take a bunch of times and a bunch of days before you're starting to get it. And then once you're getting it, you're going to want to do it for a bunch of days, doing it right over and over. All right, so practice, practice, practice. Every day, play, play, play. Have fun, and may the force be with you.